Hey everybody, this is the Montana Bushcraft bringing you another video, and today what I'd like to talk about is my Schrade SCHF9. I've noticed on my YouTube channel that I didn't really talk about this knife that much. All I did was kind of use it, and so what I'd like to do today is just give you some information about it and then some modifications that I put on mine, so in case you're thinking about doing the same thing. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So first we'll talk about the blade. As you can see, I've used this quite a bit. I love using this knife. You probably already know that. The overall length is 12.1 inches, so it's just a little bit over a foot. The handle length is 5.7 inches, so this is 5.7 inches. The blade length is 6.4 inches. Okay. And then the weight is 15.9 ounces, and I couldn't find out if that was just the knife itself or if it was with the sheath. And I don't have a scale to really measure it, but I believe it's just the knife because it is pretty heavy and beefy. The blade steel is 1095 high carbon, and it holds an edge very, very well. The handle material right here is I think it's called Craton or Creighton. I apologize if I murdered the name of it. I think it's called Creighton, and it's made in Taiwan. The thickness of this is 6 millimeters, so it's pretty thick blade. And I've batoned with this quite a few times, and I mean, it's hard to destroy this thing. And I mean, granted, if you really tried to, yeah, you could destroy this knife. You can destroy any knife if you really wanted to, but it'd be really, really hard for this knife to get destroyed. I've beaten the heck out of this thing. I don't know if I said this on my last video or not with the Schrade, but I've even taken a hatchet and batoned with the back end of that, and it didn't do anything to it. It's just an incredible knife. So this is the Schrade Extreme. It's let's see here. It also has a little thing right here so you can choke up on it. So if you have to do some fine edge cutting, and it kind of has a little bit of a guard right here. Not much of one, but I mean it helps, and it's a nice big handle. You can choke up again, and it's just a really nice knife to have. It's even got a little hole for a lanyard. And then the reason why this, if you can see that right there, the reason why this is like this is you can use it if you need to break up some rocks or nuts, or even make the fibers in if you want to try to create a fire, you can, use this to make it so you can make a fire. Then, with that said about the knife, here's the sheath, and this, it has a snap on, and then the back of here, it's got a loop so you can put it on your belt. But the nice thing about this too is that you can, instead of having to take your belt off, you can just slide this in on your belt and then put this over it, so you don't have to take your belt off, which is a nice feature about this. Comes with the rope, so you can tie it off if you want to. And then on the back here, it's got a little MOLLE gripping, so you can put it on your backpack or any other MOLLE webbing features. And then you can also take this, I'll go ahead and do this for the show. You can actually take the little pouch that it comes with and take that off. So if you don't like the pouches, you can take them off and put this somewhere else if you want. I leave mine on here, and I'll show you why here in a minute once I get this back on here. And I've used this knife more than any other of my knives, and I'm very impressed with this quality of a knife. Granted, there's a lot of knives out there that are really good to use, but this one, it makes me really happy to use, and I trust it. And then this is the pouch that I just put back on there. And the nice thing about this feature too is, unlike the other knife that I've previously told you about, this one has a little Velcro on it. So if something happens to the little thing right here, so if this breaks or something, you still have the Velcro to keep your products in. And it's got a nice, you know, kind of a big enough pouch. It's big enough for what I use it for. And then the thing about this blade too is, I believe, I'm not sure, nope, it's not, okay. So for this blade, it's only, when you put it in there, it only fits one way. It's not the type that you can flip it all around if you're left-handed or not. It's just specifically for right-handed if you're going to have it on your belt. And that's alright with me because I'm right-handed anyways, but it does fit only one way. And with that said about the knife, I'll go ahead and show you what modifications I put on this. And this is just gives you an idea if you want to do the same thing, or you can, you know, you probably have other ideas in store for it. But the one thing I noticed about this is, because it is such a beefy knife, if you have to do very minute details on things, you might want a smaller knife to go with this. And that's exactly what I did. Is I have my Mora. See, it's just a little Mora, and I've used this quite a bit too. And so I've put this on here, and all I did is I just slid it in between the pouches, and slide it in as far as you can, so then it comes out about the same place. And the good thing about it too is when you take it out, usually, I didn't have it in high or deep enough, but usually when you want to take it out, the blade just comes out. So that's one of the modifications I did with it. Another thing I put in here is just a little sharpening stone, and this just goes right in the pouch. So I'll go ahead and stick that in there. And another thing I have with this is just another little sharpener. This is just one of those little Smiths. And the nice thing about it too is it comes, you know, with a little file sharpener, so if you have a serrated edge. And then it's got the two different sharpenings. And I don't remember if this actually works with this or not. I think it does. Yeah, it does. Okay, so that's why I put it on there. Okay. See, I remember I had it for a reason, but I just couldn't think of what it was. But yeah, I had this in here before the Sharpening Stone, and I like using this. I've used this on a few different knives, and I love using it. Works really good. So I'll go ahead and stick that back in there. And another thing I put in here is just the Bear Grylls survival booklet. It's always good to just have little things like this, in my opinion, with your gear, whether you're hiking or anything like that. It's always good to have, because if you're in that mindset that you're lost or you can't be found, your mind's going to be racing with a lot of things. You might forget some things, so it's always good just to have a little reminder. I actually have like a little survival book in my backpack. I also have first aid in it, and I have like little wild edible plants in my backpack. But I keep this just in case, for any reason, if I lose my backpack or anything like that. And then another thing I put on here is the ferrule rod. And the way I put this in here so it doesn't fall out is on the side here where the stretch is. I just stick this in here, and then I take it through this kind of as a loop, and then the ferrule rod I stick right here in the side, and then the same thing with this, stick that in there too, so that way if something happens then you don't have to worry about losing it. It's kind of another little insurance policy. And with that said, that's all the details I have about this knife, and it is a very, very great knife to have. I think it's under 40 bucks, and it's a good knife to start out with if you're just getting into this like I am. I've bought in a couple rather expensive knives, and the problem that I'm having right now is I'm afraid to use them because they're high end prices, and I'm afraid that something's going to happen to them and they're going to break. And that's why I use this one the most. It's because this one I'm not afraid to beat up. It's not going to hurt my feelings at all if this breaks, because I've gotten my value out of it already the times that I've used it. And for it being as cheap as it is, it's really easy to replace. But it is an outstanding knife. One of these days I'll try to do another video that's actually shows more in depth of things you can do with this knife, or even with this combo. But for right now, this is all that I have on this knife. And so if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you're more than welcome to leave me a comment. I'll be able to respond. And once again, this is the Montana Bushcraft bringing you another video. And y'all have a nice day now, okay? Take care.